forget, and we'll get properly kicked off here. So for everybody who's just joining us now, welcome first off to the Citi Pathways to Progress ideation session. We're really thrilled to have you, and a big thank you to everybody at Enactus Ireland, Lizzie and Aoife, for inviting Sophie and I along to coordinate this event with you, for you, pardon me. So we're just going to go through some of the people who are helping to support this event: KPMG, Bank of Ireland, Gold Partners, Silver Partners, Aer Lingus, Citi Foundation, Enterprise, Unilever, Ireland Funds, and KBC. Bronze Partners, Enterprise Ireland, HSBC, and the supporters of the Chartered Accountants of Ireland and the Irish Times. Because we do live in social media world, while you're here at the event, if you want to share what you're working on, share your experiences, talk about how much of a fun time you're having, how much you're learning, you can share those at Enactus Ireland on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Or you can tag also What the Hack. We're at What the Hack on LinkedIn and Hack Something on Twitter. And I will post all of this, don't worry, into the general chat as well. And we have two special event hashtags for this: the Pathways to Progress and We All Win. And as anything, posts need more hashtags. So just a bit of quick business so that you have an idea of what's coming up over the next 30 days, especially if you're somebody who hasn't yet experienced a hackathon yet, or something similar to a hackathon, an ideation session, or a tech sprint. So today we're going to focus on researching your problem statements and the barriers that you face in overcoming those problem statements. At the end of this talk, I'm going to give you a lot of tools, a lot of best practices, tons of templates for how to go about conducting that research and making sure that you have all of the information that you're going to need for the rest of the day. And then at 4:30 today, we'll all come together again on another Zoom. You're going to send one representative from your team, and we're going to do a quick stand-up, just share in about 30 seconds to a minute what you've learned, what you found out today, the research that you did, and you can get some feedback from the other teams during that time as well. So we have a little moment to all come together again at the end of the day and kind of show off the work that you've done in the past 3 hours or 2 hours. And then tomorrow, day 2, we're going to focus on putting those research that you did, those barriers that you found, the problem statement understandings that you've built, focus on putting those into solutions. So how can we go from a problem statement, understanding of a barrier, to building out a solution that then you can show off on day 3. So again, it'll start out the same way. You're going to jump on a call with me here. I'm going to give you a bunch of tools, a bunch of templates, and tasks to come up with your solutions based on your problem statements. You're going to have time to work on them. Tomorrow, you're also going to have time to meet with your mentors. So your mentors are going to jump in for about 15 minutes with you or with each team. And they'll do that in your Discord voice channel, so you won't need to click into any other Zoom links, anything like that. They'll just drop in on you right away. And at 4:30, yeah.
Caitlin, sorry, can I just interrupt? Just the slide seems to be halfway cut off. Is it something on your screen?
You see that?
And just for everyone here, it's just hard to see the full slide. It seems to be like cut in half.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's in for me.
Yeah, maybe if we stop screen sharing and then start screen sharing again, it might work.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see.
Yeah, that's super weird because like on yours it works, but on
on mine you can see the whole thing. Try again. There we go. Now is it big?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, it's gone back to cutting it off again.
No, that's so weird. Hold on. We'll try one more time. Yay, technology. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to touch anything now.
It went back.
It went back? Hold on, go back and again. I'm going to see if I just make the screen smaller on this side.
Technology.
Do you see it big now? Can you open your screen?
No. Confirm.
Well, yep, you can try yours. It's in the drive. All right, we'll pull it up on Sophie so you can see the whole thing. And then, don't worry, this is why we have several computers spread out right now. Okay, well, we'll keep going and we'll get it up there. I'm telling you everything that's on the slide, don't worry at all. So day 2, we're gonna focus on coming up with solutions based on the problem statements that you find, based on the understanding that you have of why people are facing problems, what it is that they don't like about the solutions that already exist, or where you can fit into a gap where maybe a solution doesn't exist. Day 1. Cool. And then day 3, we will we'll focus on putting together your pitch. So whoever's not muted, if you please mute yourself also. There we go. I found you. Cool. We'll focus on putting together your pitch. So you're going to take all of your findings, all of your solution statements, and we're going to put them together at the end of the day. You're going to come in at 3:45. I will keep repeating this time to you. 3:45 on the last day is when your pitch decks are due. So that is the moment you have to stop working. That's the hands off your work moment. And you're going to send me a representative. We'll test out to make sure that your slides don't get cut off on Zoom. And that we'll be able to see everything, because at 4 o'clock, we'll start your official pitch presentations for the judges. And then they will go into deliberation for your fabulous winning. Do you want to share it? Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to stop sharing. Sophie's going to put hers up. Hopefully you'll be able to see everything.
So now,
Gorgeous. Yay. Wonderful. Fix it so we have. Thanks. We've already talked about this. I can talk through mine. All right, we talked about day 3, day 2, day 3. I will be telling you all of this ad nauseum throughout the event. So don't worry, you'll get all of this information many, many times over. I understand there's going to be a lot of stuff. I understand there's going to be a lot of stuff to keep track of. Don't worry, I will make sure that you don't get lost. And if you do get lost, you can always ping me or your coordinators throughout the event. So a couple of best practices while working through the hackathon here. First one would be make a plan. So you're going to get lots of tasks throughout the day. It's best to make a plan with your team on how you're going to go about completing those tasks. You'll have, some of you I know have a few team members who are going to be in and out throughout the day. Some people are missing whole days. So make sure to work that into your plan. Don't panic. I know at first glance, it seems like you have to do a ton of things. It seems impossible to get through all of that list of to-dos. Don't worry, you can do it. We're going to walk you through it. You will be able to get through it. Don't worry, don't panic. Use the tools that are available to you. So I'm giving you lots of templates, lots of PDFs of information. Use them, they're there for you. You also have people tools. So you have coordinators, myself and Sophie, your Enactus facilitators. They're all here to help you. We're all here because we want you to succeed. So feel free to reach out with questions, or if you're confused or anything like that, that's why we're here. In that line, be sure to communicate with your team and your coordinator if you're lost, if you need to go to a class, let your team know so that they can work around you're not being there as part of their plan. And lastly, have fun. This is meant to be a fun event. You're learning how to do things. You're learning how to build a product, research a problem statement, and we get to pitch it at the end. So make sure to have fun. Don't get too stressed about it. You're not getting a grade on this at the end. Don't worry. Next up. Ooh. There we go.
Is it?
All right, so next up, we're going to have a few of our Enactus alumni and Enactus facilitators come in and tell us about their experiences. So first up, we have Amy Louise Carton. She's an Enactus TCD alum, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her experience in the Enactus program. Amy, are you here?
Oh, see.
Oops.
A lot of the time my speaker's not working. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. There you go.
Okay. Let's turn this down a bit. Hi everyone. It's so great to be back with Enactus and talking to you all. I'm just going to quickly share my screen if that's possible. Can you give me access to that?
Oh, yeah, 1 second. Cool, you should be able to see now.
Yeah, hang on, let me just check.
Oh, the little doggy.
Okay, can you see my Google Chrome?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So I'm just going to push this over here and click present. So I am here to talk about my Enactus journey. My dog is here behind me, so apologize if he starts barking. But today we're going to begin my presentation with a problem, because that's how all presentations should begin. We're in storytelling mode and it will always begin with a problem. Our problem begins actually with my suicide attempt, which happened a few years ago. And during my recovery, I learned that 1 million people will die by suicide each year, but 19 million people will make that attempt. So I was struck by this problem. It was very personal, it was very serious, and it was really tough for me to get over. But I was just struck by it on how much potential there was to solve it. And I've always been a problem solver, and I think anyone who's in Enactus will appreciate that. And that's really when I started delving into the subject and learning more. The UN has said by 2030, it'll be the leading cause of chronic illness worldwide, and $6 billion are lost each year in worker unwellness alone. So very quickly, I learned that this was a global problem, that it was worsening each year, and it was expensive. I guess really the starting point of understanding the problem was learning the difference between mental illness and mental health. Because when we look at mental illness, we see the girl crying in the corner, but that's also confused with mental health. When we look at physical health, it's bouncing around and having fun. And that's when it really caused me to realize that with physical health, we know what prevention is. We know it's to reduce salt in McDonald's. We know that building up a routine around sleep hygiene, around exercise, around water consumption, all helps you leading to the point of sexiness, whether that's contentment in yourself, whether that's feeling sexy, whether it's achieving your ideals of that. Looking after yourself physically is a good thing. But there's nothing like that with mental health because it's seen as the girl in the dark corner. But the truth is, while it's not right now, it doesn't mean that it can't be in the future. And that's when I started trying to understand the problem in greater depth. But I was blinded by my own experiences. I could only see mental health from the perspective of suicide, the perspective of darkness, of being that girl, but wanting to make it more accessible, to be like the gym bunnies, to be having fun. And that's the problem with a lot of startups, that we're blinded by our own views and don't understand our consumers' experience. And that can happen across a wide variety of things. As a cisgendered woman, I don't understand the experiences of anyone else on the gendered perspective. Same with sexuality. I don't understand other sexualities other than my queer identity. Same with likes and dislikes. I hate with a burning passion the color purple, but actually a lot of people like the color purple. And then also our thought processes. So whether it's clicking a button at the center of the screen or clicking a button to the right of the screen, what feels more natural to each person is dependent on their own experiences and biases. So it's really important to take a step back and realize that while you might be the creator, you might not always be the end user. So it's really important to take a deeper dive into what that means. So how do you build up that understanding? A lot of people will go to surveys, which is 100% what we did. Our early MVP outreach was completely built on surveys. We researched over 500 people and asked broad questions. And I know you might not be able to do 500 surveys this weekend. Even getting 20 or 50 is incredible. We then started talking to everyone about our idea. I know Lizzie can attest to this. I do not shut up about Keep Happy. I'd never, ever stop talking about it. And it's to the extent that when I was initially coming up with the ideas, I was talking to everyone, even the people I was chatting to on Bumble. And I remember one particular story where I was chatting to this person and they told me that, gratitude diaries have really made an impact on their life. And I was pretty much straight away like, bullshit, gratitude diaries are nonsense. Ticking a little box saying what you're grateful for is actually bullshit. And then I went back to our psych advisory team and learned that gratitude diaries are really impactful. And I'll come back to this in a minute to tell you how impactful they can be. But it was by constantly talking about it, by constantly talking about it and understanding our user that we were able to create an understanding within the product itself. And that really is why you need to create that understanding, because it creates a pathway for impact. And that's what we did. We wanted to understand our user and build profiles of our users. We made up ideas of how old they were, where they lived, what their job was, who they lived with, what were their favorite brands, what were their key behaviors. All of these things help shape you to understand how you access your user. Obviously, this is all tailored for the digital space, but how does Molly Brown, this 24-year-old technologist, how does she hear about our company? How can we build the steps for her to understand what we do, how we do it, and how she can get involved in our mission? And then you also need to look at the broader relationships. I'm not sure how many of you will be looking in the B2P or organizational space, but even bringing on partner organizations, like when we're building up our partner organization or reaching out to a new organization, we have to build up a map of who each person is that we want to contact. And we look for our champions. We look for who will be the person who ticks the box to say yes, who will be the entry point for us to get into that organization. And because we have such a strict model on this partner organization outreach, we've been able to partner with the world's leading helplines, such as Crisis Text Line and RAIN in America, which are the two largest organizations for mental health in the world. Once you understand your user, you have to build for them. So we did that with Keep Happy. I'm not sure if many of you have heard of us. We're a mental health gym. So some of the key things that we did for the users in the app was not having emojis here. It was having icons and having a graph or a numerical graph, because users preferred that. We tested those features. We then had a whole array of features. A whole array of features that I don't use the majority of. It was the ones that our users came forward and asked for. The things like the gratitude diary, it's now actually our third most popular feature. And the journal was completely different to how we initially designed it. And that's because we constantly went back to our user and asked them what they wanted. And the one feature that we didn't really push on users to understand how they wanted it was goal setting. And that's actually one of our lowest used features, because the users don't know how the flow works. And because we didn't develop that with them, we did it on our own because we thought we just knew what was best. It's actually been really negative, impactful, and we're actually struggling now to change that to improve it. We then understood that making mental health fun would need to involve something cute and fluffy. So this is Aura. Well, I call her Aura. It's basically Tamagotchi or Nintendogs of the 21st century. And that was, again, built by talking to people. It was trying to understand what they wanted, how they wanted it. And you need to keep coming back to this, that having a puppy to play with wasn't necessarily our first thought when it came to mental health. But by talking to people and understanding them, it was. And because of that, we have built an app that is currently double the retention of Headspace and Calm and 5 times the international average. We have done something extraordinary with very limited funding and very limited time. But the fact is, users who use our app are stickier to us than they are to giants like Headspace and Calm, who are unicorns. But it's simply because we have this grassroots movement that we are for good, that we've managed to create something extraordinary. I hate really talking about myself and our journey, but this is kind of what we did. We've reached over 30,000 individuals across 100 countries. We've been selected as one of the top health startups in the world. We met Melinda Gates. She gave us money. It was great. And we've had a couple of really exciting things happen. But really, when we boil it down, the whole reason we've been where we are today is because we built something extraordinary by building for our users. And I remember being where you all are, like 2 years ago. I was in the Citi program, and I did not value users as much as I do now. And you're going to be told constantly over the next 2 days about all the different components of starting a startup and strategizing and building your plan. But prioritizing your user is the most important thing, because if you don't, no one's going to use your product because you're not building it for them. So at the end of the day, all I can tell you all is you're starting on this journey and it can seem really daunting, and change can seem really daunting. But never forget that no matter what you're coming up against, the world is where it is today because of change makers. And everyone on this call, whether you're here for the first time at Enactus, whether you're interested in learning what the SDGs are, or you're even just interested in entrepreneurship, social change and creating change is extraordinary. It is empowering, and you spend every day being proud of what you're achieving. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Keep Happy is pretty much our brand across everything. And always remember that change is possible. Thank you. Was I too long? I try to speed through that.
Amy, that was perfect. Thanks so much for joining us today. And for anyone who doesn't know, Amy was actually a student in the program a couple of years ago, and she was on the Trinity team, and they won our national competition in 2019. And they went on to represent Ireland at the World Cup. And lo and behold, they reached the semi-finals and were ranked in the top 1% of globally. So Enactus served Amy well and Keep Happy well as well. I just wondered, does anyone have any questions for Amy? Maybe on how she went about identifying her user groups or anything like that. Does anyone have any questions for her? If you do, you can unmute yourself and ask, and if not, you can pop it in the text box below. Amy, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, do you mind me asking, do you have any top tips for students in the Enactus program, apart from, focusing on user groups? Is there anything else that you would advise the students this year?
100%. Use the Enactus community. I leaned on the people who had done Enactus before me. So one of the most successful groups to come out of Enactus is this organization called Food Cloud. They won the Spirit of Enactus. I think it was 2 years. It was when I was in this, we got through
2019.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, they've been such an inspiration, and they've guided me so much, those founders. And I've also gone to other founders who've created, completely different initiatives. And also the professional bodies, the advisors who come from corporates, they are unbelievably valuable. They provide so much support and insight. And I still lean on 2 or 3 of the advisors I had 2 years ago. I still email them today and get support from them today. We actually submitted a 100-page grant application to the EU last week. And in that application, we had support from members of Enactus that we were in touch with years ago. So the importance of community and network cannot be underestimated, and always feel comfortable reaching out to someone. You never have a dumb question.
Fantastic. That's really good advice. And I suppose for anyone on the call who is new to Enactus, over kind of the next few days and over the next couple of weeks and months, you guys will have the opportunity to meet some of these mentors virtually, like Amy kind of mentioned. And we've had some comments come in there, Amy, just saying that that was a really good presentation and stuff. Just a question on seed funding. How did you come to getting pre-seed funding?
Yeah, okay, so it's really, really, really tough. We were just very lucky to be in the right place at the right time. It's so tough, and I actually wouldn't advise anyone to do that at this stage. It's better to look at the free opportunities available to you, whether it's looking at your local enterprise office, whether it's looking at Enterprise Ireland, who's actually a partner of Enactus. They're I believe they're a silver partner or gold partner. Bronze. Like EI is fantastic. Contact EI and start attending, networking events and start talking to people, because it's so much more important to validate your concept and actually have proof that it works before you get funding, because you will be screwed out of equity. And not that happened to us, but we were definitely exceptionally lucky.
And just on the seed funding point as well, Amy, you guys were in the Citi Pathways to Programme back in 2018, 2019, and you guys won loads of seed funding as well. Do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we were so fortunate to win funding, because it really kind of gave us a leg up, both in terms of financially, but also in terms of validation. Having the support of Citi, having Enactus promote us, having all those kind of things adds so much validation to you as a business and as a corporate or an enterprise. So it's really important to do that. And honestly, the best way to win competitions is just to do the work. I know this sounds so cliched, but do the work, achieve growth metrics. So whether that's interviewing 20 people or having certain amount of people test even a wireframe, like build a really, really rough wireframe of like a product or a solution. Then the next thing to do is with your pitch, practice. There's so many resources available on how to pitch, what kind of pitches work effectively. Look at the past winners of Enactus. Like, if you really want to see an amazing team, 2017 Canada and 2018 Egypt, I think, are like my two go-to videos if I ever need like a pump up to be inspired on how to pitch. The Enactus World Cup is phenomenal for seeing pitches, so it's really a good example to look at. Really, you just need to have growth metrics, again, like tangible results that you can prove that you're working. And then secondly, tell a story. And then secondly, tell the story. And then third, have a beautiful pitch and learn it off.
Brilliant, super. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we're slightly running over time. I think Caitlin is going to kill me. So we're going to wrap it up there with you. If anyone wants to reach out to Amy, let us know. We can link you guys in with her. And she's part of our alumni network as well. So this won't be the last time you'll get to see her as well. So thanks very much, Amy, and we'll chat to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Amy. So now we're going to have Lizzie talking about some of the criteria, and this for Enactus in general, and that's what we're also implementing for the event for the next 3 days. So he's going to throw hers up for me here, and then so you can see the whole beautiful slide.
Great, thanks very much.
As opposed to half of it that you get with mine, apparently.
Super. So just while we're getting the slide set up, guys, so I'm delighted to meet you all today. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lizzie O'Brien, and I'm the head of Programme Engagement at Enactus Ireland. And I was actually a student in the programme, like, I think it's nearly 6 years ago now at this stage. And I was very fortunate to have, so many opportunities within the network. My team played runners up at the national competition, and although we didn't win, I still got the opportunity to travel to the World Cup in Beijing in that year. So there's so many opportunities within the network, even if you don't necessarily win the competition. There's so many opportunities for you guys to develop your skill set, to develop your network. So if anything at all that we can help with, please feel free to reach out to myself and Aoife. We also have on the call as well, who'll speak in a couple of minutes, and also our boss as well, Laura Denny. So if there's anything from projects to building your network or anything at all like we can help with, please reach out. We'd be delighted to help. So The purpose of this event, guys, is really to kind of kickstart like your idea generation, and it's obviously very different, you know, in kind of the virtual scene. You know, we're not all together, we're not in a big room, but we are still together virtually, and I'm delighted to be able, or sorry, we're delighted to be able to collaborate with WAPAC on this event, and the guys have done some amazing hackathons for the last month. So we're delighted to be able to work with them, and we can't wait to see your solutions. But I suppose with your solutions, we always want you guys to think about the Enactus criterion, and that's so important. And we always kind of say to you guys, look, if you are doing you know, an exam, you're always going to look at the judging scheme to see how you best can get, you know, your mark. So it's the exact same thing with the Enactus, and we're always we want you guys to make sure that you're hitting those points. So it's with the Enactus team most effectively demonstrated entrepreneurial leadership to drive business and innovation for sustainable positive impact, benefit people, planet, and prosperity within the last year. So that sounds like a mouthful, okay? But when you actually break it down into the 4 simple sections, it's actually quite easy to follow. So entrepreneurial leadership is all about, you know, identifying an opportunity and basically pursuing that opportunity. So what we want you guys to do is basically, you know, identify the need. So what Amy was speaking a few minutes ago about identifying that need that you basically want to achieve with your project. And then we need you to conduct needs assessment. So go and gather information and talk to, you know, different stakeholders. So for example, if you're doing a project on homeless people, you're obviously going to go and talk to organisations like the Simon Community, like Focus Ireland, and just get their insight to see that there is actually a need for the project itself. We might skip to the next slide if that's okay. And then I suppose as well with innovation. So basically what we're looking for with that, guys, is like, what's your USP? So what's your unique selling point? So if we have 2 teams working on projects with homeless people, how are you going to differentiate yourself? Okay, so you guys really need to think about that. And I suppose for the next 3 days, you guys are going to be innovative anyway, because you're coming up with new ideas. But I suppose as well for people who have had projects within Enactus, within, you know, last year or the year before, innovation can be brought from the aspect where you guys, you know, enhance your current offering. So for example, I'll give you a quick example. So if anyone knows the guys down in UL, you know that they run a project called Restart. I'm basically all about integrating asylum seekers into society. So the first year that they were in Enactus, they ran Restart Cooking, where they did like weekly classes and sessions with the asylum seekers and talking about customer service skills, and they got them to run like a weekly stall. And the second year that they came back into Enactus, they were kind of thinking, okay, we need to be innovative, we need to think outside the box, and they added Restart Gardening to the curriculum, and that's where they actually got a plot of land, they grew crops and they grew vegetables, and then created products from those vegetables and crops. So you can see there that although it was an existing project, they continue to innovate year in and year out. And an exact same thing for you guys, but it's just the innovation kind of over the next couple of days come a little bit easier to you guys because you're starting from scratch. You're not trying to improve on something that's existing. And then on the next slide then as well, we have the use of business principles. So that's all around what's your business model. So for Enactus projects, they need to be financially sustainable. So we need you guys to think about, you know, what are your costs involved in the project? What are your sources of revenue? So for example, you know, are you selling a service? Are you selling a product? And how are you generating revenue, and how is that coming in on a regular basis to help cover your overheads? So this is something that we really want you guys to kind of think about over the next couple of days, because, you know, your projects need to be financially sustainable. And then one of the most important pieces of Enactus is all around the sustainable positive impact. And those Enactus projects must have a long-term impact, you know, on the environment or the aspect of society that you want to work with. So whatever that social group is, or you can do the two together as well. That's absolutely no problem. So that's a really quick overview of the criterion. We want you guys to constantly think about that over the next couple of days, and it's basically what you are going to be judged against as well on the final day for the pitches. And I think by now, especially when you guys are kind of going into that idea generation stage, stage. You should definitely refer to the criterion constantly, and say to your teammates, okay guys, well, how are we actually generating revenue with this project, or have we done a needs assessment, have we talked to people? And Aoife's actually going to talk in a minute about needs assessments and how you guys can actually do that as well. So I think that's for the criterion. Does anyone have any questions on the criterion? Are you guys happy enough with it? Speak now or forever hold your peace. But yeah, that's the criterion, and at any stage, if you guys have any questions on it, please feel free to reach out to myself or Aoife or anyone else as well.
Awesome. Fabulous. Thank you. We'll jump on to the next one since we're plugging for time here. And everybody can ping you also in the Discord, yes, if they have questions throughout the event. So next up, Aoife is going to explain to us a bit about the needs assessment and concepts around needs assessment. And then we'll have some tools, and then you'll be set off to work. So don't worry, you will get time to work today. Don't worry. So
thanks, Caitlin.
Shout out.
Hi, so yeah, I'm Aoife. So I'm the Programme and Training Officer this year for Enactus Ireland. I've met like Hafi, and then Hafi wouldn't have met me yet. But basically, I was actually the Programme Officer, and I left Enactus a year and a half ago and moved to Canada, and I've been living there since. And then I literally moved home last week. So I will be your Programme Officer then this year. So I've been chatting to some of you, so some of you would know me or know me from when I worked in Enactus before. But yeah, so I'm just going to talk to you about needs assessments and then just like the importance of them. So Amy actually touched on this during her presentation as well, and you kind of saw how important they are because she kept talking about like her audience and knowing them. So exactly as she said, it is one of the most important parts of your projects, apart from obviously the implementation, is the needs assessment. Like you need to be talking to who you want to work with, what you want to be doing. You need to be interviewing loads of different people. You need to be interviewing whether that's the people you're going to impact, whether that's your project partners, to see if there's a need for this, or anybody you know who's well skilled in that area as well. And you can gather this information through loads of different ways. You can do focus groups, you can do interviews, so even just having that transcript of the interview, asking the questions, and do community meetings as well. So like, talking to people in the community about it and what they think. Doing surveys, so obviously that can be online, which is quite an easy way to do it as well, and you can just send out a link and get a lot back. And then data analysis as well. So if you were maybe wanting to work with like homeless people and you're working with a charity, see what data they have and see what research they've done, and you can kind of go off that as well, because that is very like, that's pure facts there as well, and don't be afraid to like use that as well. So your needs assessment should be continuous, and this is so important. Like you doing one single survey at the start of the year is absolutely not going to cover it for the year, like, because that could completely change. And so just be constantly touching in with your impacts and being like, is this something you're still interested in? Do you have any feedback? Would you like us to change anything? And continuing talking with like project partners, asking them, do they think it's going well? If not, what can be improved? It's all those things that is just so important. And it's also really important when it comes to competition as well. Like this is so many questions get asked about your needs assessment and at competition, so it needs to make sure that you have a sound plan in place, and that's coming from the start. And a lot of people only do, like, a lot of people in the past were like, oh sure, we can do a needs assessment real quick and then just get going with the idea. But if you're thinking, if you're really wanting to help these people, you really do need to take their needs into consideration. So and the only way that you can do that really is by talking to them and getting that information. So yeah, that's kind of mainly it. I think there was just one slide on needs assessment, was there? But yeah, that was basically, you can get the information from a lot of different places, and talk to like people, project leaders from last year, and see how they did needs assessments. And it's important to do a fresh one every single year. I've been talking to team leaders this week and just kind of remind them of that. But if you're a project leader or part of a project, it's so important to do a fresh one every year. Your project could be involved in Enactus last year and the year before, but you need to be doing a fresh one every year, because it mightn't be as relevant this year as it was last year. Yeah, I think that's everything with needs assessments then. You'll hear me talk about it lots anyway when I'm talking to you guys, but does anybody have any questions? No? Cool. Well, I'll be talking to you guys anyway. If you have any questions after this or when you're working on your projects, you can ask your mentors, or you can ask myself as well. So yeah, thanks, James. Good to be back. Yeah, that's it.
And Eva, that is the perfect segue into my slide, because now we're going to talk about your problem statement research, and I love when all of the talks just come together perfectly in what we're going to start with, or the activity that we're going to start with for the day. So your first task today is going to be your problem statement research. So you all have a problem statement. It's either one of the ones from that Citi's Pathways list, or you're coming in with something of your own, and I'm really excited to see what those ones are. But I want you to, as everybody has talked about, start with your customer and your user. So I'm gonna show you a few templates in a second. But the first one is about what is it that your user wants, your customer or user wants, why do they want it, and why can't they get to it? So you're looking at, if your user wants to get from point A to point B, what is it, everything that you know about them? What is everything that you know about the place that they're trying to get to? And then what is standing in your way? And that place where there's something standing in your way, those are the barriers that you're going to be looking into. Why is there something in the way? Why is it that they can't get what they want? What is going to kind of make them happy? And we have a beautiful template. You click on the next one for me. A beautiful template for your user profile and your value proposition. So just as I was telling you there, you're going to list into this. There's a template for it in the Miro board also. You're going to list into this, what is it that makes your user happy? What is their end goal that they're trying to get? What satisfaction are they going to get out of that? Are they going to make more money? Are they going to be healthier? Are they going to have more time? Whatever it is that your person is trying to get to. And then why is it that they can't get to it? So that's your little crying face there. What is standing in their way? Why is it that they can't reach what they want? And what is the value that they're going to get out of it? And then on the other side, you're going to write about what is this idea that you're trying to fill. And that fit in the middle, that is the part where you put in your product. Do I have another one? Oh. Hold there. I'm going to try and share my screen. Try this again so you can see the Miro boards, and you will be able to see the the templates that are there. Fingers crossed. Let's see if it works.
It's still cut.
It's still cut, but you can see what you need to see. So you all have a link to Miro. It's free. It's essentially a giant virtual whiteboard. I highly recommend you use it. You can all be on the same board. It's a great working tool, like co-working tool that's virtual. And you don't have to throw away thousands of sticky notes, since we're all trying to be more sustainable as well. So within this, the first template you have here is your customer problem statement. So again, just as I was saying there, filling in, your customer is trying to do this, or who is your customer? They are so-and-so. I am a mid-20s person looking to get healthier physically. I'm a mid-20s person looking to improve my finances. I am still in high school and I have no idea how to start having financial literacy or anything. Who is the person? And then what are they trying to do? But this is your barrier. I can't do it. Because more details on why it is they can't do it. Why do they feel that they can't do it? What do they feel is standing in the way? That's as everybody has said, Amy, Lizzie, and Aoife all have said, this is your contacting people. This is where you talk to people. This is where you make sure that what you're making is something that they actually want to have. And how does that make them feel? If that makes them feel sad, if that makes them feel anxious, you can address that. And you can give them not only a product, but also a emotional sense of well-being out of the end of it. You have that also in a little bit more detail. of going through exactly who are your clients or who are your possible users, and what are the different experiences they have with the process as it is now. So that within that you can say, okay, here are the solutions that exist. Here are how we could either improve on those or create an entirely new solution to replace those. So again, in the same way of the customer journey or the customer problem statement template, here you're going to go in and fill out, answer the questions for your different customers and for your different users. And then we saw this, the last one is your customer persona, and you saw this in Amy's slides. They had gone through and done really great detail of exactly who their users were, what was important to them, what the different outlets that they could reach their customers at were, so what sort of technology they used, what sort of social media could they be reached on. So again, here, it's when we understand that you only have 2 days, so we're not quite expecting that level of like granular detail that Amy had, but start with this simple one, knowing who your people are, what are they interested, what are the skills that they have, why are they buying the product, why do they want to use it, how technological are they, is an app going to be useful to them, is it going to be something that needs to be more analog. So go through and fill this out so that you understand who your users are, who your customers are, what they're like, what they want, what's important to them. And because as everyone has said during this talk so wonderfully, I love it. Like I said, when everything lines up, if you're not making something for your user, they're not going to buy it in the end. We can't all be Bill Gates and create things and then force people to buy them. So that is everything. Whoa. Everything that I have for you guys today. Are there any questions about anything that we've talked about so far, the tools, the tasks that you have to do for the next hour and a half? And any questions, any fears, comments, concerns, existential crises? You can shout it out or put them in the chat, whichever. No. Okay, great. So if questions do come up while you're working, so you're going to have now an hour and a half to work. Questions do come up, feel free to ping your coordinator. They're all in your group, and they are, let me make sure I tell you the correct color that they are. They are blue, so all of the participants, you have nice little green tags on, or green names. Your coordinators are going to be the blue people in your group. So if you have a question, you're confused, you have a tech question, a tech issue, ping one of them. They'll either be able to answer your question or they'll reach out to one of the facilitators to get information from us. I can see all of your chats as well. So if you have any comments or any concerns or questions, feel free also, you can ping myself. I will put this video up onto YouTube as fast as it will process, and then I will drop the link into the general chat so that if you have any team members who are not able to join us right now, they'll be able to see the video and see all of the tasks that you're working on for the rest of this hour and a half. That, I believe, is everything. There are a few of you who have just joined the Discord, and I will drop you into your team channels right now so that you can get to work. And I believe that is everything, and on time. So now that we have everything laid out for you, have probably a brain-numbing amount of information. Is there any other questions real quick before we get started? All right, fabulous. So go off into your groups. I will close out this call so that the video will start to process. I can get it loaded up right away. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ping your coordinator or us, and we will be sure to answer and make sure that you have everything that you need. So thanks, everybody. We're looking forward to seeing what you put together. See you again at 4:30.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.